Hey,
Yes, we're totally not going to keep this in the podcast.
camera's always on, John.
Oh, God.
Primarily Critical.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Primarily Critical of Movies at an After Party. This would be it.
If you have not seen this film, we suggest that you do so before watching any further.
Because we've got spoilers, trivia, and opinions like crazy, and we cannot wait to share them.
Good, bad, new, old, weird, or gross.
We will pass judgment on them all.
Today, there were very few women in the Wild West. My name is Steve. I'm here with
Phil.
And
John.
Today we're covering Appaloosa.
Yes.
Phil, we have you to thank for this.
Yeah.
What brought you to this movie?
Man, you know, I vaguely remember this movie coming out like 13 years ago now, or whatever it's been. And I feel like, well, how did I miss this movie? Because it's got all the ingredients. I think I like the actors. Westerns are cool when they're done right. And yeah, so I had to check it out. So first time watch for me on this one. You guys?
Yeah, the star-studded cast. When you said it, when you said, "How did I miss this?" That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, I mean, I'm a big Ed Harris fan. I'm a big Viggo Mortensen fan,
Yeah.
and Jeremy Irons and Renee Zellweger. And I'm so, how did I miss this? You know, how did I miss this? I maybe because the movie wasn't all that great.
Well,
Oh, shots fired!
you know what? You know what? I kind of agree with John.
What?
Steve?
This is a delightful movie. You guys are crazy.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
I'm not gonna drag this movie through the mud. That's for sure.
Okay.
But I do think it fell short in certain areas. I think it was. I had higher hopes given the star-studded cast. Maybe my expectations were too high, and maybe that's why. Maybe if I had lowered expectations, I would have loved this more than I did. You know.
Yeah, you know, John, I'm on a similar train of thought on this. And I felt like one of the biggest letdowns of this movie was the weird romance thing going on with this woman.
Yes.
Was it trying to be comical, or were we trying to do a real serious Western here, or a real, intense movie? And I felt like that was I just didn't buy it. And it felt cheap in the movie.
It did. The romance was pathetic. First of all, it happened way too quickly that he's suddenly going to move in and get married. This is a guy that has made a life of basically barely being with women, and suddenly she, of all people, is the one that's going to rope him in so fast. And she's not even an honorable lady. I mean, and she basically brings this guy down, which just seems like this is a guy that's made of steel. What was it about her that
I don't know?
It just seemed weak. It seemed very weak that this is what brings this guy down.
Yeah.
He didn't go down.
Well, no. But she caused a lot of grief for these guys, right? These two hired guns. They're peacemakers, right? They're hired law men come into the town of Appaloosa.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be the law.
Okay.
And then she comes into town and she's just hustling these poor guys, right? She makes a move on everybody in the movie.
Yeah.
It cheapened the movie. It just felt stupid.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on.
Steve, defend it.
Hold on.
Pump the brakes. All
right, so I started to get the impression that this was not your average Western movie. They were trying to do something a little bit different. They were trying to bring in other elements to this typical Western story, and And it became more about Renee Zellweger's character, who plays
Allie.
Allie. Yeah,
Yep.
Allie. She plays Allie, and she sums up her entire character in one scene in the film where she says, "I'm just always afraid. I'm just
Yes.
constantly afraid," and she's just going to latch on to whatever she can.
Which would have been a very real concern for a woman in those days. I mean, they can't own things, they can't, so she really needs a man. And so
she can't vote, she can't own things.
That's
The gender is entirely outnumbered.
Yeah, that's a good point, Steve.
But her game is flawed. This is the thing. I heard her say that, and I recognized that, and I thought, well, yeah, so it's very important for her. She's very attractive, obviously, and she can, but her game is flawed because she latches onto somebody. She secures her future. Why then would you, while you've secured your future with one man, you're also trying to secure your future with multiple men, risking blowing your future with the one man that you've already secured a future with? Right? To me, that seemed flawed in her thinking. So anyway, go ahead, Phil.
It was just part of the silliness of that whole role, the whole angle or whatever, hustle. But can we look past that whole thing? Her whole character kind of felt like, did we need that? I don't know. Otherwise, Steve, John, I loved the movie for its authenticity, the Western.
Yes.
Ed Harris, Viggo, they were great, like combo, right? I was engaged with the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I feel like Renee's character just was, I don't need it, but otherwise, I enjoyed the movie.
See, I would have liked this better if I was thinking, because I thought this is a good movie and all that. I had suspicions that right from when Renee showed up there, that she was actually working for Bragg, and that this was all something that was predetermined. Bragg was, and I kind of wished it had gone that route in the end. I was, or something more in depth than it was,
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness for Cole's character, right? He keeps Virgil from getting really far off the path in this movie, and keeps the job at hand. What a cool bunch of characters. Right?
I think you said Cole, but you meant Everett, right? Or what? Isn't that right?
Am I wrong?
Cole and Virgil are the same person, or am I wrong?
Virgil Cole.
Virgil Cole is one person.
Virgil is one person.
Wow, sorry guys.
And
Everett. You were talking about Everett.
Everett. Yeah. He's the guy. Okay, he's the guy that rocks. Everett's Viggo's character, right?
Yes.
Okay, he's the guy that's always got the double barrel shotgun at hand.
Yeah, 8 gauge, massive gun, ridiculously big.
Is Kate? While we're on that time, is that like a 2-shot gun, right? You shoot. Yeah. You got 2
crack action double barrel 8 gauge.
So you can shoot one and then the other, or shoot both at the same time. Is that not?
Yes, that is correct.
That's like a fucking cannon. Jesus.
Yeah.
Sometimes in movies they cut off the barrels, and they just use it as a handgun, which is ridiculous.
Well, one sense is that these guys have been doing this for quite a while, so they got their routine down and their whole system. So
yes.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. So Jeremy Irons, he wants to play the Wild West bad guy, and he does a pretty decent job. I like him as a bad guy. He can be very convincing, but at times during the movie they really forget about him, and then and because they want to focus in on what's her name, Annie's character, Allie. And actually, at the end of the movie, it seems like she's even sleeping with Randall Bragg, or Jeremy Irons' character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of all over the place.
Oh, part of why it's disappointing character. It's like,
Yeah, I think the most realistic love story is that what's her name, the
Everett's woman there, the
Everett's
prostitute
woman there. Yeah, she's.
Yeah.
I really like her. She's cool.
I liked her too. Yeah, she had more integrity than Allie did. You know.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but yeah, she was a minor character, but right. So, I mean, it just felt like I think John alluded to this earlier. I think I was going into this movie hoping for it to be like an epic Western with like something along the lines of Unforgiven, or gosh, something of a higher bar, like for story, not for like otherwise this movie felt great. And like it looked and felt good. I bought it. Like, but
it weakened, she weakened Virgil Cole's character. She weakened him because she made him look like a bit of an idiot. Like in the end, and then he says like, yeah, I know she's gonna be like that. Yet he's willing to overlook all that, and he still wants to be. And it's like, come on, man, you're supposed to be like the tough guy. You're the guy we're all thinking that's made of steel and you're getting all soft like this. And,
yeah, you're supposed to be the law, man. And you absolutely, I absolutely leave that ending with thinking, she's just gonna move on to the next guy, whatever is a better situation.
Exactly. And, nothing was resolved in that romance, and really, in the end, it's like I bought him some time. That he even says that. Everett says, I bought him some time, and but we know it's doomed. Allie's going to be. It's only a matter of time till she leaves poor Virgil there with a bum leg now, and and his career is over basically, and he's going to be left destitute. That's not how we want to see our big hero left. I didn't like that.
It leaves it kind of like, well, you know what? Good for Everett, dude. Get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Everett was great. No complaints there at all. He was solid.
Everett was standing up. Even when she tried to like try to advance on him, right? He shut her down. It's like, yeah, bros before it. I'm not going to say the word bros before it.
Bros before ladies.
Scamps. I don't know what's appropriate for people like that. Scoundrels. What's more? It's not nothing's PC, I guess, or not.
The ladies of the night.
Oh, I don't know if she was that. Anyways, that's what I took.
Did anyone expect them to die when there was a big shootout?
That held some intensity. I had to watch that scene. It's on Amazon Prime, right? And I had to watch it a few times to see how the hell there was like 2 against 4, the shootout at the end, right? And shout out to Lance, our old buddy from other movies, from Aliens, Lance Henriksen, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
Plays one of the bad guys, the gun henchman.
Yeah.
How do bad guys always have an unlimited supply of henchmen? They're just always there, right?
Yeah.
They're willing to do whatever. Anyways, that shootout was cool.
That was cool.
I'm glad you watched a couple of times, because I wanted to go back and watch it again, because there's something in my brain that I felt like Ed Harris said. So Cole says to Everett as they're walking up to, I'll take Bragg and you take the other guys, or something.
Okay.
You take the upstairs.
Yeah. No, but what I watched it, and they say, you take the first 2 guys on the ground, you take Brad, whatever the guy, and then we'll deal with the next guys up in the second floor. And that's what they do. But I thought for sure that
didn't he say, he said, I'll take Bragg?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, it wasn't because the way I remembered it, it was that he said, you take this blah blah blah, and I'll take Bragg.
We'll deal with Bragg. I don't know. Man.
And then I felt like, okay, so Viggo there, Everett did all his part, and the one guy that Cole was supposed to get, he didn't get and got away.
Oh,
now maybe I'm not remembering that right. See that I might.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to watch it again if anybody wants to comment on that. I watched it a few times, and it's like it's a bit chaos. How did that range, and with 4 guys shooting at you, how do you not like,
well, it was tactically stupid. I mean, that was, sometimes you have to look these things in the Old West. I mean, tactically stupid. You're in the wide open. You're two guys heading up to a building where they have cover. You're outnumbered.
but didn't know this was going to go down? They thought they were going to walk over and have a.
I think they had good inclinations that this was going to go down.
Yeah, then right. That's tactically terrible.
Well,
other than
in hindsight, a lot of these scenes seem ridiculous, but you have to consider at least Civil War back then was just two groups of people marching towards each other and shooting at each other until everyone was dead.
Yes, but in the Civil War, they had muzzle loaders. So you miss your shot. Now you're getting the powder horn and your ramrod and wad and all that before you can shoot again, right? So there's more logic to that in that situation. But these guys are using revolvers with boom, 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 right?
Well,
so
it was 1888, and they even still like Virgil had a revolver, right? He had a revolver, and Everett had a shotgun, the double barrel. But then he pulled out his what appeared to be and at the end of the movie, a single pistol gun.
Yes,
so they're coming into the fight with just like it seemed like impossible, but there they are. I thought for sure one of them was dead at the end of that, and no, which kind of felt well, whatever. But as we see, Randall Bragg takes off, and then they deal with him at the end of the movie.
Well, and didn't you find that Bragg's character, I found this was a movie of your protagonist and your antagonist, their characters diminished. So as we've already discussed, Virgil Cole, how I felt he got diminished through his relationship with Allie. But then you've got Bragg, who he doesn't seem so badass. He starts getting more all like he's running a hotel. He's dressing he's friends with the president and all this stuff, and suddenly he doesn't seem like the tough guy at all anymore, right? He seems like so I felt like it was kind of like you got left with this kind of murkiness of these two strong characters that were dwindled down to more and of course Everett was held strong through the whole thing, right? So by the time Bragg steps out there for that final, I had no doubt in my mind that Everett's going to kick his ass because his character had been diminished so much. It was just he didn't seem bad. He didn't have his henchmen anymore. He was just kind of this hotel owner that would dress nice now, and it was just weird.
Yeah, I agree. They didn't develop him. He was just a bad guy. We didn't know why. I mean, like I alluded to, other movies like in have done a better job of making a bad guy really despicable. At the beginning of the movie, he comes off really despicable, and then throughout the movie, he weakens and becomes like a
It's interesting that you said that, John, because in the first few seconds of the movie, Randall Bragg shoots two deputies and the sheriff. And then not even 10 minutes later, and I marked it on my clock, 11 minutes into the movie, Virgil Cole kills three of Randall Bragg's guys in the saloon. So there's like 6 deaths in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And there's a lot of badass and energy. Establishing
both these characters as total badass, totally like gunslinging, wicked at it. That's established that very early in the movie.
Yeah. And then they just kind of
they both just kind of went down and diminished and became these not so good at what they're doing anymore.
Like we alluded to before, the romantic thing, romance. I don't know if you even call it romance. Just the love story just made it didn't work for me and kind of disservice to the movie. Could have been a stronger, more intense thing going on there, right? I think we all got built up at the beginning for a long, like a really ride, but
I thought it was fun. As soon as my brain clicked over.
Yeah, I enjoyed the the banter and fun between the two guys, right? Like whenever Cole had problems with words, he
Loved it. Yeah.
corrected him, and
I actually thought about trying to do this podcast and saying words like and starting them and looking at you guys to finish them just to go with the authenticity of this movie, but it's too difficult even without having lines pre-made. That would be too difficult.
yeah.
All right.
I just a quick note: if you like Ed Harris's character in the movie where he's the man in black looking, if you're a fan of him, he basically plays a similar character in the Westworld series on HBO. I don't know if you guys have heard about that.
I have not.
He plays a cowboy in a reboot of Westworld, so check that out. And one other thing, I don't think this is in the trivia. I hope not. The movie ends with a Tom Petty song. Did you guys catch that?
How did I miss this?
Well, at the very end,
Which song?
called "Scare Easy."
Scare Easy. Oh wow,
Yeah.
Tom Petty song. I don't know. That's
Yeah, it's cool. I thought that was very cool.
I know there was a cool song. We played it during the credits, but I
It's
didn't
not in your,
recognize it, so I didn't make a note of it.
and this is extra trivia, or just another quick thing before we get into trivia. Ed Harris actually sings a song at the end too. After it's further into the credits, he sings a song called "You'll Never Leave My Heart." So I thought it was very cool.
Do you know if this was written by Ed Harris or has he just performed it?
I don't know if he's just performing or whatever. He's got a very Johnny Cash kind of voice, a good low voice. I made some comments on my house. I just thought I'd slip that in there at the end before we get into some heavy trivia. I always appreciate the music that goes on in the movie, the whole package, but I love that.
Ed Harris had his hands all over this movie, right? I mean, this was in many ways one of his biggest things, right?
Possibly, yeah. And yeah.
This was his baby. Yep. All right, let's get into this trivia. When actor, writer, producer, and director Ed Harris reloads his Peacemaker Colt model 1873 single action army revolver, he realistically uses the pistol's ejector rod to push spent cases out of the cylinder. Few Hollywood actors know what the ejector rod is and are seen in various westerns reloading SAAs by opening the loading gate and shaking the spent cases out. Oh. So he's going for authenticity, this guy.
Authenticity there, right down to the little details there, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Wow,
yeah, that's good stuff.
It's nice. You know, I'm sure there's at least a half dozen guys out there that really appreciated that.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But you know, it seems like this to me might have been like a labor of love doing a Western. It must have been a lot of fun directing a movie and like playing cowboy, right? Like,
yeah.
Yep.
I'll take the next one.
Sure.
Viggo Morrison, one of my favorites, committed to this movie during a busy stretch of work. When filming was delayed, he tried to beg off, asking Ed Harris to try to find another actor. Harris had interviewed 20 others for the role, but they either declined or weren't right for the part. Viggo agreed to do it, and according to Harris, 2 days before he started principal photography, Viggo shows up in New Mexico. He's ready to go. He's done the research on the period. He's given really good thought to his character. He's detailed ideas about his wardrobe and his props. He was in excellent shape and good spirits, and he subsequently played Everett Hitch to perfection. Viggo Morrison is a man of his word.
You know, you gotta love this guy. Viggo Mortensen, every project we've covered with him, it's just nothing but good stuff, you know, and he's just amazing. I mean, you know, I'm a huge fan here.
You know, he doesn't do shit. He doesn't do stupid money making or money grabbing movies. He does. I think he follows his heart.
Yeah.
I think after Lord of the Rings, hopefully he just does really what he wants to do.
Yeah. Exactly. Like in the early days, he had to take those roles, like in The Perfect Murder or whatever, with Michael Douglas. He had to be
Every actor probably does, but I think he probably got to a point where hopefully he can just give us quality and not
absolutely
stupid movies where you see a lot of his peers just taking crap, right? So
yeah.
And I consider him one of, if not my favorite actor.
Absolutely.
I can take this next piece.
Sure.
Because, it was originally planned as the first in a series of movies based on a series of books by about Hitch and Cole. That was interesting to me. I kind of want to read those books now.
Well, yeah, and see, I think they had an amazing duo, the thing is, I spent in the short period of time we have to talk with this. I did focus on a lot of things I felt I didn't like about this movie, but there was amazing chemistry going on there, and that's part of the reason I was so disappointed, because I loved what the dynamic between Hitch and Cole there. I thought it was, they're a magic duo that you could have seen so much potential and stuff, and so I would have loved to see a series of these movies and those guys, which was why part of the reason why it was so disappointing that it comes to an end at the end of this movie in such a weak way. I felt like it was just sad,
I think if this movie, or they rethought this movie now with streaming services, I could see this being a 10-episode run for a first season. These two guys would be dynamite on whatever streaming service, Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO. These guys, these actors, these characters would have been great Western series.
They're gold. I love that perfect dynamic between them, the perfect duo, Western duo. Would love to see them go on,
And sure, throw in Renee Zellweger's character. We'll see what that does. But over an arc, as a movie, standalone movie, it fails. I think it would better be served by a seasonal kind of thing, episodic thing.
Yeah.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, and here we are.
There we go. Because the only remaining 8-gauge shotguns on the market were either too antique or too valuable to use, the movie's armorer, Gibbons Limited, had to specially contract for replicas. Gunsmith Steve Carnes purchased 3 replica Colt 1878 shotguns and modified the barrels so that all 3 sets would have bore sizes equal to that of a real 8-gauge shotgun. The first 2 shotguns were designed to fire full-load 12-gauge blank rounds. One gun could be used while the other was cleaned or repaired from previous movie shoot. The third shotgun was designed to chamber 8-gauge inert rounds and was used for reloading scenes. All 3 were given identical aged finishes to make them appear old and used. Yeah, wow. I guess an 8-gauge, a 12-gauge is the biggest thing on the market these days. And that's a big gun. I mean, you guys shot a 12-gauge just the other weekend, right? And that's a big load. Everything, an 8-gauge is a massive gun, and so they actually, I guess they authentically got one here. That's quite something.
I love it.
Well, they made a 12-gauge
look like an 8-gauge.
Look like an 8-gauge, and then they had a prop that could accept 8-gauge bullets.
Yeah, there you go.
You gotta love the authenticity, the effort to make a really I love that kind of stuff. I love that kind of trivia on movies, like seeing how things are done, like props. Important. Like it makes for a very deep movie sometimes, right? Of course.
Yeah, totally.
Now I will say this: if there was any scene where he was shooting that gun where it wasn't holstered tight against his arm, then that's bogus. If he was doing a hit or hard against his hip, because the kick on an 8-gauge would be ridiculous. It would be stupid.
He doesn't get to use it a lot. Does he? He's always with it, right? But he's not using it a lot. but it's quite the thing, right? It's intimidating. You look at that guy, you wouldn't want to mess with that guy. He's always got it on him, right?
Yeah. Well, it was. I wonder if these books are based on actual people, but it's probably just fiction. But anyway, I as soon as my brain clicked over to this is not going to be your typical Western. They're going for something weird, a little bit different. As soon as I realized that, I was up for the ride. I thought it was always this is a nice little Western movie. I thought
Sure.
Yeah.
I was even okay with the open ending, which I get the impression that it troubled you.
I all in all, I enjoyed watching this movie. I mean, I wasn't bored. I was entertained, and it was beautiful to look at, and it was well acted. It was well produced. I mean, there's lots of good things about this. My complaints are just I just what I would have liked to see. There was more. I thought there was potential here for more, and it fell short of those expectations. So,
yeah, I think I alluded to it earlier. I would have liked to see this play over an episodic run, but this came out in 2008, I believe, right? So that wasn't a thing really back then. So,
yeah, I don't know.
And how did this movie do?
It made money.
It made money, but it didn't do exceptional.
No, it didn't make enough money. I think probably the bankers like,
that
didn't make enough to make a second movie.
This is a movie that says to me, people did not leave the theater going to their friends, you got to see this movie.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny how this just kind of slipped my radar when it's got all the ingredients of something that's worth seeing. So strange.
Very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, any last thoughts? Should I say?
No. If you like westerns, it's worth checking out. Well, you've already seen it if you're watching this. So
next week, Monday at noon, we're covering Our Friend. John, you're my friend.
Yes, I am, Steve.
You picked this movie.
I did. I picked this movie. My wife brought it to my attention. I'm a busy guy, and I keep saying my wife brings these things, but she's really good at this stuff. She takes the time to look at trailers and stuff and bring up things that I might find interesting. And one of the things I always find interesting is true stories. And so this was based on a true story, and I watched the trailer, which she had brought to my attention, and I'm like, yeah, let's do that one. So it was about that simple, but can't wait to talk about it.
I can't wait to talk about it either. Phil, can you wait to talk about it?
Oh, I can't wait. It's a heavy movie.
All right. That's what we're gonna do next week on Monday noon. This was Appaloosa. We are primarily critical. You are awesome. Have yourselves a great week.
Bye-bye.